Music producers, are you making fire beats, but presenting it to the wrong person? Know your demographic.
Airbit.com.
Music producers is nothing more frustrating than putting together an absolute banger. Putting together beats that people who love your style of beats will go crazy over. Only issue is, what drives all of us crazy is making a beat like that, only to find out that the audience that is in front of us just doesn't want it. You know, it's very important that you understand what your demographic is. If you don't know what your demographic or what a demographic is, it's basically the age, the sex, the level of income, maybe even the level of education, the region that people are in. It's important for you to know these details, so as you start to map out some particular marketing plan, you know, you want to make sure that you're getting in front of the people who want to hear your message the most, because you could end up expending a lot of time and energy into promoting, putting your stuff out in front of people who have no desire to buy your product. You know, you got to think, it's like putting a bunch of car ads in front of people who are bike enthusiasts. You know, they love bikes. They don't have no reason to be jumping inside the car. They don't want a car. They have a bike for a reason. So you want to make sure that as you start to figure out your sound, if you know your sound, even better, but as you start to promote it, you want to make sure that you're promoting it to people who are basically your demographic. Now, one way to find out if you're actually performing for your specific and unique demographic is to survey your customers. Now, those polls can come in the version of a Survey Monkey, which is a website that basically gives you the opportunity to poll or, you know, set up a question that your particular email list can vote upon. And, you know, the way that you get people to actually answer that, because we already know that people, you know, just don't take the time to fill out polls all the time, you know, offer them a discount. I did something one time where I said 40% off to my customers who fill out this 10-question survey. For them, it was like, yeah, I'll take 40% off. Just answer a few questions, cool. Kind of questions that I asked them, of course, the general. What is your age? What is your sex, male or female? What is your, you know, your favorite style of beats? What time of the day do you often buy your beats? I asked them questions like, what region are you from? What level of education do you have? What is your level of income? I mean, there's questions that can definitely get quite personal, but you need to know that as you start to figure out your demographic and figure out where you need to tailor your message to. Where do you need to pinpoint and who do you need to talk to? Because those are the people who are going to support you the most. Don't do what I did. I found out that I was making beats for a year straight. You know, I fell in love with a style of trap beats called EDM trap beats. I fell in love with it, and I just started going ham because as I learned it, I started to see that I had a great skill for it. As I put it together, I had one beat that actually took off like crazy, which even clouded my judgment even more because I assumed that it was people from my email list buying this beat. However, it was new customers who were buying this beat who had never heard of a Curtis King Beats or whatnot. And so they were coming for this particular beat, but they weren't necessarily fans of the other beats on my website. Now, that hurt me in another way because you got to think of it like this. The people who are already holding me down, you know, they were familiar with me because of my hip hop beats. So if they know me from my hip hop beats and all of a sudden I just got all of these crazy EDM trap beats, you know, some of them may like it, most of them probably not gonna like it. So I actually sent out an email and I found out that 70% of them actually wanted me to make more hip hop beats. They didn't want the EDM trap. No matter how great it was selling in the general public, they didn't want that. And the thing about it is to ensure long-term success, because you may look at that and say, well, you found success, you know, in that EDM world. To ensure long-term success, you gotta be able to, you know, master the 80-20 game. And what is that? That is basically, you need to appease the 20% of the people that are part of your audience that are consuming 80%, purchasing 80% of your product. So if you can understand those people are your diehards. You know, if you understand those, you'll start to understand that they run your business because they're accounting for over 80% of your income. So in that situation, you know, what I would do is figure out, okay, How can I satisfy them? What do they want? You know, even if you want to advance your sound or evolve your sound into other different places, that's fine. But for the sustainability of your business, you must supply the customer. The customer in this situation is very much right. They are the ones that in demand. You know, what I try to do is I try to always, in my new batch of beats, offer something that I know my core audience wants, they love, and they come to me for it. But at the same time, I'll take that sound, evolve it, or even try something new so that they're exposed to it, because it may be something to where they didn't even know they would like a particular sound until I actually did it. Now they're looking at that like, oh man, that's not really my style, and I never really rap over R&B beats, but I like when you make them because I exposed them to that. So, you know, in that situation, first and foremost, it's important that you know who your demographic is. How do you do that? You survey them. Secondly, you make sure that what you're supplying is what your 80-20, those 20% who consume 80% of your product, what they actually want. Make sure you're satisfying them, because if you satisfy them, you'll have a sustainable business for a very, very, very long time. Once again, this is Curtis King at Airbit.com. Have a good one.
Airbit.com.
Music producers, don't forget to subscribe to the Airbit channel right now.